called her, and she said, "No, I'm staying." And she was sat there, and I said, "Come on, we're going." Pulled her again, and just as I pulled her again, she decided to get up. And so she flew over my shoulder, and there was a spiral staircase, and she went flying down this spiral staircase, and I thought, "Oh God, that's it." Everybody was watching, and so I dashed down the staircase and lifted her up, grabbed our coats, and took her outside. There was just it was like in a movie. It was a taxi. People just got out and jump into the taxi. And we sat back, and I thought, this is finally the end of the marriage. And we sat there for a moment, and she turned to me and said, "You were magnificent." And I looked at her, and she said, "When I was falling down those stairs, I could see all these women's eyes, and I knew what they were thinking. I wish I had a man who loved me enough to throw me down the stairs." And she finally got the attention she was looking for.
They were great parents, loving parents, and I think that they really, you know, by the time I think that Dad, you know, had maybe a little bit of a wandering eye.
Our marriage broke up, and when he wanted to go off into the sunset,
a lot of things had happened in the last 25 years. Dad had remarried and had more children who were wonderful, and that had created a rift in the family. This documentary coincided with Dad separating from his current wife, and in a way, we both found each other again. Nothing much has changed, and I haven't been here for 18 years. That's a new bridge, I don't believe it. Wow. Is it nearly as big as I remembered it to be? There's Dad. Believe it.
Oh, my baby.
Shock. The house looks much smaller than it used to.
Smaller?
It looks much smaller.
Well, you come at light and look at the blossom.
It looks gorgeous. It's amazing.
You see, if you had a proper crew...
What?
If I was shooting this, I'd be sitting in the other direction, so you'd have the beautiful backlight. Front light like this is
harsh,
is always harsh.
Yeah.
It's harsh, and it doesn't. And also, the landscape looks better. It looks much better looking that way.
It does.
You might do a shot looking up that way. Well, look.
Yeah, further down the river.
It's okay. So.
Just got another hand, haven't you?
Yeah.
What do you need two for?
He was a bit of a risk taker, I have to say. I mean, you know, I wouldn't say health and safety was at the top of his list.
It always had to be an extreme. It always had to be... And I was very interested in how people respond in extreme situations. Deliverance on the river. How those actors responded to being pushed to limits. We had control of it with the sluices of the dam upriver. Open the sluices to a certain extent to bring the river rushing down. And Voight was saying, "You mad fucker, Boorman, I know what you're going to do. You're going to open those fucking sluices and we're all going to be swept away."
He's looking for quite a lot of things in life. He's looking for great love. He's looking for perfection. He wants to be a good dad. He wants to be the right, you know, he wants to do good by his children.
It's fantastic. When you feel the force of the river, it's like feeling the strength of nature. And I find it very exciting. It's a sacred place to me. Yeah. I'm trying to get across the rock.
I suppose you need that kind of sort of character, or the kind of character he is to be, because he's not just a film director. He's a script writer. He's a writer. He's written many books, and he's very competent in what he does.
I wouldn't change a frame of any movie I've made, not because they're perfect, but simply because I'd be too bored to go back and start doing it again. You know, I've made films in the way I have, where I want absolute control. You know, I want to write them and direct them. I want to be my own producer. I don't want anybody in authority to tell me what to do. And possibly there have been occasions where I could have probably improved the films with more collaboration. But somehow it was essential to me for it to be my vision and to be exactly as I wanted it to be.
A nightmare. He's an absolute nightmare. He's a bully. He's aggressive. He's mean to people. He's cheap. You know, I mean, I did a Deliverance with him. It was my first film, and I got a tricycle. You know, and that's his own son. I should have been given points. If I'd got points, you know, points in the box office, oh, I'd be so rich. I've been very lucky to be able to work with Dad, because I worked right from when I was 3 years old, right up to not that long ago.
I cast my son, Charlie, he was 17, for a number of reasons. First of all, because he has a beautiful personality, has a simplicity and a purity at that age. I knew I could work with him in these difficult circumstances. And, you know, there was a lot of opposition to it. And because of that, I suppose I was very hard on him, because I was, you know, desperately wanted him to work.
You know, there were a lot of people who were quite negative towards the fact that I was going to play the lead role. And so I think in some ways, you know, when I was working with Dad, you know, it was always one take with me and, you know, 6 or 7 takes with other people. So, you know, I had to really be on it. And I think it was partly that to prove to people that I could do the part and stuff like that. So he used to put me in these ridiculous situations where I would have to sort of bounce down this waterfall, and Dad would do it all in one shot. I remember I broke my both baby toes 4 times on each foot, running around the jungle, yeah.
It's about this boy the father finds eventually in the jungle, and you see him go through a rites of passage in the movie, and actually you put your son through a kind of rites of passage, father to son.
That's a statement, not a question.
I prefer that you said it. People to this day, you know, they quote that line, "Squeal like a pig." I mean, how did that come about?
Oddly enough, because everyone was very nervous about this male rape scene, and Warner said to me, "You've got to do some coverage for television, for when it's shown on television. You've got to do some coverage, and particularly with the language." So there was, you know, there was a lot of foul language during the course of this rape, and so we sat around and thought, well, what can we say instead? You know, and somebody, I think it was Rosbo, came up with "Squeal like a pig," and immediately I thought it was much better than any of those swear words, you know. So we cut them all out and used it in the main version, and it kind of stuck. You know, poor old Ned Beatty, whenever he's walking on the street, you know, people say, "Squeal like a pig."
Squeal louder, louder, louder.
Deliverance itself, had you read the novel and had you met James Dickey, the author?
He was a very intimidating figure for the actors. And he called them all by the names that they were playing. You know, it was all real to him. And Dickey was a sort of fantasist. When I first met him, he took me on one side and he said, I'm going to tell you something I've never told a living soul. Everything in that book happened to me. I thought, right, they buried this guy up there somewhere, and I Jesus. He made me promise not to tell a living soul. Of course, I wanted to tell someone immediately. And I said to Charles Orme, I said, do you know what he told me? Do you know what? Everything in that book happened to him. And Charles said, yes, he told me the same when I was at the door, went to the toilet. and he went on telling everybody. And when I went up there with him, and when he actually got into a canoe and immediately turned it over, I realized that nothing in that book had happened to him. Don't come up here anymore. You hear? Let's do one like this. Okay.
Rolling.
Right. Everything you can see, left and right here, we planted something like 10 or 15,000 trees.
And did that take you all day?
Yeah, most of the day. I started planting too late in life, but some acorns are now sturdy trees, and I'm not yet too old to climb it. And I lie in its branches, watching the world recede by 1 foot every year, which is how much they grow. It's quite a nice...
Oh, lovely.
Did you ever read the book?
Of course I did.
Well, there you are. That's at the end of the book.
So forgive me if I didn't remember every single page.
But we could quote that. If I could get up there, I haven't climbed it for a while, but... Okay. Okay. I'm up.
74. You up?
Yeah, I got it.
I got you.
I'm okay.
You okay?
Yep. I planted this tree with, from an acorn. I planted at the same time as those... Whoops. Oh, look out. You might have to get the fire brigade to get me down.
Rolling.
This is the Hamilton Wood. It's an ancient oak forest. And I've shot here several times, particularly with Excalibur. And there's something very magical about it, very healing. And I really love this place. And of course, you know, really the way to shoot in the oak wood is to move the camera, because then the trees move in relation to each other. It never quite expresses itself in a static shot like this. When we were doing Excalibur, you said
That was a
you
long
kept
time ago.
saying your lines so fast. It's so fast. I said, slow down, Katrina. Cut. Slow down. Now do it again. You're still too fast. Why are you saying your lines so fast? We can't understand what you're saying. And you said, well, you're only 17, I think, weren't you? You said,
17, yeah.
I'm afraid you're going to say cut before I finished.
You know, I think that if you're the daughter of the director and you're working on the movie, you're always so desperate to impress the technicians that you're not a prima donna.
I know. Well, when I first started, you know, I was. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to impress the crew more than I did anything else. You know, that I knew what I was doing, kind of thing. But now,
it's a youthful thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Now I don't give a fuck.
Fiddlers. You definitely expect, you know, the sort of 1,000% from everybody because you're giving 2,000% yourself.
Well, no, I think that
you're quite a taskmaster.
Well, I feel about it is that there's a tendency, you know, the best crew I ever worked with was on the Helen Pacific, was a Japanese crew, and they were so disciplined, they didn't move, you know, a crew in England or America, they're always wandering around eating with a mouthful, you speak to them, they've got a mouthful of food, and they called her, and she said, no, I'm staying. And she sat there, and I said, come on, we're going. pulled her again. And just as I pulled her again, she decided to get up. And so she flew over my shoulder, and there was a spiral staircase, and she went flying down this spiral staircase, and I thought, oh God, that's it. That's it. Everybody was watching. And so I dashed down the staircase and lifted her up, grabbed our coats.
They were great parents, loving parents, and I think that they really, you know, by the time they, I think that Dad, you know, had maybe a little bit of a wandering eye.
Our marriage broke up, and when he wanted to go off into the sunset,
all these women's eyes, and I knew what they were thinking. I wish I had a man who loved me enough to throw me down the stairs. and she finally got the attention she was looking for. And took her outside. There was just, it was like in a movie, it was a taxi. People just got out and jump into the taxi. And we sat back and I thought, this is finally the end of the marriage. And we sat there for a moment and she turned to me and said, "You were magnificent." And I looked at her and she said, "When I was falling down those stairs, I could see..."
A lot of things had happened in the last 25 years. Dad had remarried and had more children who were wonderful, and that had created a rift in the family. This documentary coincided with Dad separating from his current wife, and in a way we both